Hey, I'm Richard Matthews. I run a wealth management firm in downtown Greenville and Fountain Inn, South Carolina. I've shot tons of videos on market trends, planning strategies, and financial education, and honestly, at this point, I've just talked too much. I'm bored of the sales pitches I hear in financial media, so now I'm interested in what other local financial experts are thinking about in the upstate South Carolina economy and markets on the No Nonsense Investor.
So we're here today at Floor Field with the Greenville Drive and Lynn Ballard, County Councilman in Greenville District 26. Lynn, how are you doing today?
Fine, yourself?
Doing good. We're doing good. Let's talk a little bit about kind of what's going on here in the upstate as far as, I think, growth. Growth is the right answer, right? Isn't that what we want to talk through?
That's correct.
So what you got?
Well, most people realize that we have growth, but they don't realize the extent of the growth. It's been sustained now for a while that between 500 and 700 people a month are moving to Greenville County. Now, why are they moving here? For a variety of reasons, but one is that we have a significant manufacturing and corporate headquarter base here. A lot of new jobs are coming, not just factory type jobs, but we also have professional jobs. And one of the biggest ones is a new facility that's going to be built right on the border between District 25 and District 26 that is going to manufacture medical supplies, which we found out in COVID a lot are done offshore, and they're coming on. They're going to hire 600 people.
Nice. Very good. That's exciting. I know jobs seems to be, I guess, the biggest draw to the area. There's also some other maybe political reasons as to why people are flocking to South Carolina. If you ask SC Chamber of Commerce, they have a whole list of reasons as to what they would say, but the jobs do seem to be the big driver here. And the best part is the diversity of jobs, as you were just hitting. So we've got the port down in Charleston, and that's a super big hub of stuff that's coming here and going out. And of course, the inland port, right, that we've got over in Spartanburg County. That's huge to drive the 85 stretch, right, as far as all the manufacturing and industrial jobs.
That's correct. And the inland port is growing already, and it hasn't been in that long, but it's a significant contributor. You may or may not know, but they also are putting an inland port in Dillon.
Nice. Which
is on I-95. And so logistics is the big issue. And again, if you go back to COVID, a lot of what we always knew as shopping and purchasing and things has shifted. A whole lot now is being done online. Online means you order it from your house. It goes to a warehouse somewhere that is picked up and transported generally to the nearest, if it's a small package, the nearest post office, and the last mile is delivered by the U.S. Postal Service.
Yep, or even food, right? Now we're getting our food delivered to us. So the logistics of transport is huge. And I mean, I don't want to really go down the rabbit hole, but I know that DOT is really focusing on 26, the southeast side of Columbia to Charleston to try to speed up some delivery. But the port has been a huge push for our local economy here in the upstate, but a lot has certainly changed since COVID, and the growth for jobs is definitely causing a higher demand, right, for what we're seeing here. So when we're talking through demand and what's flocking people to South Carolina, we run into a little bit of a bottleneck, right, as far as residential. So what do you think is going to happen there for our residential situation?
Well, of course, I've been living with this situation since 2014 on council. And what we find is that there is a major shortage of houses in all categories. There's a lot of discussion about affordable housing and workforce housing and things of that nature, and that is a significant issue. But right now, if you talk to most realtors, now this with the Fed right now, it's slowed down a little bit. But before the interest rates started going up, if you put your house on the market, you better be ready to move. You'll have 3 offers within a week, some of them cash. And that's because of the severe shortage of houses here. The other thing that we're finding when it comes to affordable housing is there are people now living in apartments or houses that could afford a higher rent or a higher house payment, but with nothing available, they're staying there, which is keeping people underneath from moving into there, because we have a significant number of people in the area, starting with nurses, nurses, laboratory technicians, policemen, firemen,
teachers.
These people are all they're mostly college educated, they're working in professional jobs, but there isn't availability of housing for them at the 1/3 of their income rate.
So it seems like, I mean, if that's a good definition, especially looking back historically, I think we could really point back to the last 2 decades or so and say the erosion of the middle class is what's probably held back those incomes from keeping up with the costs of living. And especially with the inflation that we're seeing here, you know, we've held interest rates low for so long, creating this inflation, printing all of this money. You know, the cost of living adjustments or the raises that people are getting on their incomes just not keeping up, right? And so if you add to that a supply shortage, a demand increase of people moving to the area, there's just not much of a middle class anymore as far as being able to pick up affordable housing at any income level. Assuming we can get the people accommodated as far as a place to live here in the county, coming to the upstate, transportation is kind of what I wanted to talk through next. Getting people to and from places of work, places of business. I know we have Greenlink and CTA, and you can actually see here in the background here the buses. What's going on in the world of transportation around here?
Well, transportation has been a major challenge for years, and within the last 18 months, there's been some significant improvement in the Greenville transportation Greenlink. Up until just a few months ago, Greenlink only ran from 5:30 or 6 o'clock in the morning till 7 o'clock at night, 6 days a week, and that was it. Well, that's fine as long as you work during those hours. But people might work a second shift and they could take Greenlink to their job, but then they got to walk home or take an Uber or something. And within the last several months, Greenlink has expanded their operation and now are running buses till after 11 o'clock at night, and they still start at 5:30 or so in the morning. So now it doesn't matter what shift you're on. If you rely on that public transportation, you can get to your job and get home on public transportation. That's huge.
Yeah.
And so many people they'll see a bus at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and there'll be 12 people on it. Well, it's underutilized. Folks, there are a lot of people in town that is their only means of transportation. And the other issue is, without public transportation, downtown Greenville economy will stop.
Agreed, yeah.
And people say, what are you talking about? Do you ever eat in a restaurant? What about people that stay in hotels? Who is waiting on you? Who's pouring your water? Who's making the beds? Who's cleaning the facilities? These people, many of them, rely on public transportation to get back and forth to work. And we don't need to be looking at how to cut back. We need to figure out how to fund more and provide better transportation. Another issue that you hear all the time is traffic is so bad. Well, I have broached the subject more than one time with James Keel, the director of Greenlink, and some of the other people in town, and said, at what point are we going to get to the place that we have parking rides where people that live out where you and I live or live out in Simpsonville, Fountain Inn, Greer could come to a lot and then take public transportation downtown and cut down on the amount of traffic down here.
Yeah, like a hub and spoke type
Hub
system.
and spoke.
Yeah.
A lot of the bigger cities have it. And Greenville has changed. Several years ago, we were a large town. Now we're a medium-sized city. And the challenges in a medium-sized city are much, much different than a large town.
Definitely. And so when we're looking at all the signs in the windows of now hiring, and that's the servers, that's the people in accommodations, I mean, you hit the nail on the head, and that's actually a talking point that I was having with somebody last week was, why aren't we doing more of a out of town coming in and then back out with the park and rides and so forth? So what came of that conversation?
Well, the topic is on the table, and we're looking at that, and it's something, again, the bus system is like every other company, regardless of the company. Getting employees and keeping employees is difficult. And it's all part of the overall plan. One other thing I forgot to mention about the transit system, and I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but the actual maintenance shop for Greenville Transit is on the other side of the outfield wall over there.
You can see that brick building and then some buses out in the yard behind the no-nonsense investor.
That building can only take 2 buses at a time.
For maintenance, right?
For maintenance. And we are in the process of building a brand new maintenance facility with large state-of-the-art maintenance ability, because we have a lot of buses. The other thing with GreenLink that we need to get to is to reduce that 1 hour circle to half-hour circle. But that takes time, drivers, money,
buses and maintenance.
Buses and maintenance.
Definitely. So now with maintenance, are these all diesel or are we doing electric or?
We have both.
Okay.
Proterra, is here, and there are several Proterra buses. I was at the day the first one rolled off the line over there, and those have added a great deal, but we still have the diesel buses, and then they run the CAT bus. I don't know if it's a CAT or if it's a Greenville Transit bus that runs to Clemson, but they run a bus to Clemson every day. At the moment, that's a diesel bus.
Very nice. Good deal. Well, I'm going to end on a challenge question here, and I think it's a pretty obvious one. What would you say, after we've discussed all this, are the 3 biggest challenges that the county faces right now?
Well, challenge number 1 is explosive growth. We just have a lot of people moving here and finding a place for them to live and to be able to accommodate all the growth is very, very challenging, and the projection is it's not going to slow down anytime soon.
Right.
The second issue is, as we talked about, having housing available. And Greenville County is basically divided into 3 separate districts. There is the northern council district, which is District 17, which is primarily everything above Travelers Rest, and that's the mountains and the watershed and all the pretty area up there. Then you have the central area, and then the southern area is mostly farms and pastures. Well, the joke on county council for years has been Joe Dill and I represent the county, but all the people live in the other 10 districts because there are 10 districts between District 17 and District 26, and those are all pretty much full. There's not a lot of land available in the center district anymore. And to quote Dr. Fant, my colleague, God is not making any more land for Greenville County. So housing and growth by definition, has got to slip into
South.
those areas.
Yep.
And then the third challenge that goes right along with the other two is trying to stay ahead of the infrastructure required to support the growth and the housing.
There you go. So growth, growth, and growth. Those are the three, right? That's what it sounded like.
They're all related, but
Complementary,
they all intertwine, and those are the challenges
Definitely.
that we're faced with.
Yeah. Growth is not simple. It's not pleasant all the time, and it's hard to plan for. So it's kind of a move as you go situation because
Yes, sir.
money is not infinite, neither is time. But anyway, I think that wraps it up. I think that's a great synopsis of what's going on in the county. I appreciate you coming in, and I want to thank Lynn Ballard for stopping by today. Here at the No Nonsense Investor, we're talking not just products, not just sales stuff in the world of finance. We're talking through actual issues that face us here in the upstate, locally and here today. So thanks for stopping by, Lynn. I'm glad you could make it here. Thank you to the Greenville Drive for allowing us to have such an amazing set, and we'll see you next time.